Hello, lords and ladies. Welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. What can I say about episode 2, Hassle in the Castle? Well, first off, despite having the most boring monster, and I use that term loosely, this is actually a better episode overall compared to episode 1. It just moves us closer to that good old classic Scooby-Doo vibe. Which, again, is odd considering episode 1 featured a classic Scooby-Doo monster who has appeared a few other times throughout the decades, and this episode had a magician dressed in a cheap Halloween ghost costume. Another thing that bugged me about this episode is the explanation of how Bluestone the Great pulled off all the ghostly tricks he did. I can buy the levitating that he did, even if it's odd how he uses it to give Shaggy a sandwich, but maybe I'm just not familiar with the trick, but the old smoke and mirror explanation sort of rings false to me. There seemed to be several moments in the episode where it couldn't have worked that way. If he was standing in front of a mirror and using light, or whatever, as a projection, then how come the Scooby Gang didn't see him? At all. I know. Looking too deep into a Scooby-Doo episode is really pointless, but that's actually always been a gripe with me about certain episodes within the franchise. If you have a villain doing crazy things, at least have a truly believable explanation for how he accomplished it. Besides a lackluster villain and a paper-thin reason for how he did all his tricks, I still believe this was a good episode. There seemed to be a lot more comedic moments compared to episode 1, and they all felt more like what you'd expect from the series. I think this moment here with Scooby messing with some magic hat is the funniest part of the episode. Next to what happens at the end, of course, with the chipmunk, or whatever it was. As I said, this episode is where the formula really started to come together. Fred devises a trap, Scooby and Shaggy become more comedic, and Daphne falls into a trap. Oh, and Velma does stuff, I guess. I actually miss this more competent and ingenious version of Fred, because more modern interpretations have made him more bumbling and thick-headed. I wonder if that's a reflection of how today's society views men. My musings about society's opinion on men aside, this has been my review of episode 2, Hassle in the Castle. I'm still working out how to structure my reviews for this old show. Obviously, it's hard to talk about the plot, as I've said before in my previous review, but I'll figure something out. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below, and if you have some time, please consider checking out my Patreon. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and take care.